What's up, space apes and heroes? My name's Hanley. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to look at some brand new 2020 research on psilocybin coming out of Johns Hopkins University. If you don't know, Johns Hopkins has been one of the leaders in the resurgence of researching psychedelic medicine. So this is a pretty cool study that looks at how psilocybin affects some specific brain regions. I'm going to focus on the default mode network, the claustrum, and the auditory cortex. So the study looked at some other things. I don't really understand it, so I'm not going to go there, but I'll focus on these things. The cortex sits underneath the skull, and that's where we do a lot of our higher processing. Like our prefrontal cortex does reasoning, our somatic motor cortex, it does feeling and movement. Our auditory cortex processes our auditory signals. So the default mode network was one of the targets of this study. And what it does is it houses our preconceived notions of the way that the world should be. That way we're not walking down the street and having to ponder every pebble that we step on. That wouldn't be very functional. So we store a set of scripts and heuristics and stories about the way that the world should be. Okay? So underneath the cortex is a subcortical layer, a subcortical structure called the claustrum. And what the claustrum does is it connects different parts of the cortex to one another. And it is heavily populated by serotonin receptors. Psilocybin binds to serotonin sites. And when the claustrum has high serotonin or high psilocybin activity, it deactivates its function. So what happens is when a person ingests psilocybin, this structure that makes different parts of the brain or helps them talk to each other, it disables that. And specifically, the default mode network stops communicating with other parts of the brain. So like I was saying, the default mode network houses our preconceived notions of the world, and it gets disconnected from the rest of the brain during a psilocybin experience. So if you've ever ingested psilocybin, you might understand what I'm saying, how the world looks fresh. Everything kind of is new. You can rewrite the story about your life or your relationships or just your attitudes and beliefs in general. They can all be accessed in this really deep way with psilocybin. But, on the flip side, you can't really just live your life on psilocybin because you'd be totally dysfunctional. So, that's the short and skinny of the study, is that serotonin sites in the claustrum is what the psilocybin is binding to, and other around your whole body, but this is what the study looked like. It binds to the claustrum, shuts the claustrum down, and it makes it so the default mode network stops talking to other parts of the brain, most notably the auditory cortex. So here's some of my own thoughts on this subject. What I'm learning right now, and I'm basing this on something from Dr. Huberman out of Stanford, is that part of our day is spent in attention. When you're paying attention to something, you're using epinephrine and acetylcholine pathways, and that builds up this pressure of tagging different parts of the brain for neuroplasticity during the nighttime or during your serotonin cycle. So when you have serotonin in your present in your synapses. Oftentimes people feel like they're safe. And when someone is safe, they can explore the world with fresh eyes because failure doesn't mean catastrophe. I think that this study is offering us some insight into the exact mechanisms that's happening. It's helping us understand the ways in which psilocybin can be used therapeutically. And it's also teaching us about serotonin generally and what its function is in the body, how our brain and our body oscillates between periods of attention and periods of resting and updating. So it's like action, rest, action, rest. I apologize if this video is confusing. It's definitely a pretty in-depth study. I encourage you to go and check it out yourself. I'll put the link or the abstract of the study down in the description. Love it if you gave me a thumbs up and subscribed and put a comment down in the comment section. And I love talking to people and offering my insight or responding to what other people have to say. So I hope y'all have a really beautiful day, and thanks for watching. Peace.